are doing, but we haven't heard back from them.
We start with a disaster averted right before the holidays. 2 children are alive after they fell through the ice at Quail Lake, and it's all thanks to quick thinking from 4 bystanders who were just out enjoying their day at the lake. Now, the lake, if you're unfamiliar, is in southern Colorado near Broadmoor World Arena. KRDO 13's Carla Sosa talked with one Good Samaritan who said it all happened so fast.
Now, hours ago, this was the scene of the frantic rescue. Now, I'm going to step out of the way. That way you guys can see. Now, that area right there, that's where the kids originally fell in the water. Now, one man tells KRDO 13 he was fishing when he saw the 2 kids fall in the water. Then him and 2 others sprang into action.
My stuff, dropped my fishing pole, ran over there.
Fernando Meca said it all happened so fast. Minutes after warning a family about the thin lake ice, he saw 2 children plunge into the icy water. Meca and 2 other bystanders rushed to help out the kids.
I walked out there with two other gentlemen, and the ice started cracking, backed off a little bit. The other gentleman kept walking. He ended up falling in.
A woman who was nearby gave Meca a rope so he could help save the kids.
I had the youngest kid out there grab it first because he was bobbing up and down, up and down. And so I had him grab it, and then his older brother ended up grabbing onto the rope at the same time, so I had to pull them both back.
Then the man who fell in the lake during the rescue.
He was still out there, and he looked like he was going into shock. And so I grabbed the rope again, threw it out there. He finally grabbed onto it, and then I pulled him back in.
Meca says this could have been a different outcome if they all didn't act quickly to save the kids and the adult.
Pretty scary. I knew if that kid would have went down, I would have went in after him, because like I said, all 3 of them were freaking out, and I had to tell them to calm down, but it was a very surreal moment.
These little
But
kids
instead,
right here
4
fell in the
random
ice
people
right
who happened
here.
to be at Quail Lake sprang
They
into
was at a
action.
lake.
I saw
The
people in
kids
need
fell
and
in the
others
ice
did
right
too,
here.
and I think it's just like a normal instinct to help others.
Now this some crazy shit right here. Uncle and goddamn say shit. He was tired of nephew. Nephew must have been at the highest tripping right here.
A man is now recovering after police say his uncle attacked him with a machete. Investigators say 2 family members were in the backyard of the Southside home on Gibbons Avenue on Thursday when an argument broke out. Police say the man's uncle grabbed a machete and started swinging at his nephew, hitting him on both hands. The victim was taken to the hospital, and police say he's going to be okay. The uncle, though, was detained by police. They tell us there aren't any charges right now, but he could be facing an aggravated assault charge.
DC police searching for a man who posed as a hotel guest at a luxury hotel and then stole from that hotel.
This all happened at the Four Seasons in Georgetown, and even though the man never stayed there,
The family of a disabled man enraged this morning after they say a group of kids shot him with a pellet gun. It happened last Thursday just before noon off Lake Meadow near Rigsby Avenue. Carla Elizondo says her dad, Luis Serratos, was unloading tools from his truck, and when he came out, he saw some kids actually looking in the back of his truck. Well, he asked what they were doing, and that's when he says they started shooting at him. She says the teens appeared to be between 12 and 17, and then they took off on their bikes towards Sinclair Elementary. Well, Carla says her father is okay, thank goodness, but he's still a little shaken up.
Just violating someone's place of safety, the fact that they're children, the fact that they're parents, just kind of let them run on the streets, not knowing what they're getting into. It's really upsetting.
Man, some little kids then popped this dude right here with the pellet gun, goddammit. That shit right there is too funny.
New details now at noon. A local firework company says somebody broke into their business and stole thousands of dollars worth of fireworks. The break-in happened late Sunday night at their fireworks stand off Blanco Road on the north side. KENS 5's Earl Stoudemire talked with one of the business owners who says this loss is devastating.
I wish it was me, guys.
Black Cat fireworks and tanks are just a few of the products remaining on these shelves at Big Arrow Fireworks. The owner tells me that he brought this container here on Sunday, and within 18 hours, someone broke the doors.
So that confirms to me it's a 15-footer.
Okay, so there's nothing on the side.
This is surveillance footage from a nearby gas station on Blanco Road showing an unmarked moving truck pulling up to Big Arrow Fireworks Sunday night.
They came once at 11:27 p.m. They left at 11:43 p.m. They came back at 1:12 a.m. the next day and left by 1:33 p.m.
Big Arrow Fireworks co-owner Daniel Asafor says the burglar drilled through their locks, snatching rows of fireworks.
The big key that led us to believe something had happened, though, is there was a firework on the ground. And we're like, wait, why would there be a firework on the ground? And so when we opened it up, we were just in total shock.
Bexar County deputies say $24,000 of fireworks were stolen.
Is right here. That's about an $85 firework.
Alselford and his business partner bought the company 2 years ago, starting at ground zero.
This might have been the first season where we were going to be able to go home and take a little bit of profit, but with a $10,000 loss, that's pretty much impossible now.
The Bexar County Sheriff's Office is working to find additional video surveillance of the burglars. Until the crooks are found, Big Arrow Fireworks is adding additional security on this fireworks stand and its 4 other locations. Losing a fifth of their inventory, Asselfor says this isn't the explosion his staff wanted going into the new year.
Some of our stands are run by women and men, but women who, I don't know, how safe are they going to feel? We're hoping that everybody wants to stay and help out. It's going to impact the rest.
We have new details just into our newsroom. We now know the name of the suspect shot by a San Antonio police officer on Christmas Eve. It happened off the 100 block of Melrose Place near Olmos Park just before 1:30 on Tuesday. According to San Antonio police, the street crimes unit were tracking down Damian Holmes and Esquire Pettit, 2 suspects wanted on violent felony warrants. When the 2 suspects walked out of a store nearby, officers say they tried to take them into custody. 18-year-old Esquire Pettit was arrested, but 19-year-old Damian Holmes took off, police say. Officers chased him, and that's when they say Holmes pulled out a gun. One of the officers fired at Holmes. He was hit once and rushed to the hospital, police say, with non-life-threatening injuries. According to an arrest warrant, Holmes was wanted for a shooting on December 9th that left the victim paralyzed from the waist down. As for Esquire Pettit, he was wanted for robbing 2 victims at gunpoint in early November and for a shooting on December 1st.
And
I did.
Our top story this half hour, the U.S. Marshals and Texas DPS arresting 2 of the 10 most wanted fugitives in the state here in San Antonio. Both men, they say, were wanted on multiple charges. KENS 5's Earl Stoudemire is joining us live in studio this morning. And Earl, tell us how long these men have been on the run.
Good morning, Vanessa. Well, both of these men arrested, they have been on the run for months. They each had prior convictions for crimes dating back to the 2010s. Christopher Joshua Garay was the first man arrested, and that happened on November 29th. He was initially serving 18 years in prison back in 2011 for 5 counts of aggravated robbery. He was let out on parole in 2018, but he violated it. In January, he got a charge in Bexar County for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Since someone made a tip to Texas Crime Stoppers, a reward will be paid for Gray's arrest. The latest arrest is for Catavius Latre Gaines. In this happened on December 10th. On 2017, Gaines was already sentenced to serve 12 years in prison for burglary and tampering with evidence. He was also convicted again in 2019 for burglary, theft of property, and DWI. The last wave of charges came this year when Bexar County wanted his arrest for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, possession of drugs with intent to sell, indecent exposure, and evading arrest. Gaines' arrest was made through internal investigations. To find the 10 most wanted fugitives in Texas, you can click on this story online at kens5.com. Texas DPS says rewards can be given for tips leading to an arrest.
Hey, y'all remember this fool right here? It was a nigga
Tips
robbing
from
the
Fox 4
stores in
viewers
Fort
helped
Worth.
police catch a career criminal they say robbed multiple convenience stores all across North Texas. Police say he was in fact becoming increasingly violent before he was caught. Fox 4's Peyton Yeager in now with more from police about the arrest. Peyton.
Heather, shortly after our story aired last week, Fort Worth police say they received multiple credible tips from the public. Plus, Tarrant County investigators recognize the suspect as a person they've arrested many times. 45-year-old Roderick Dennis spent this holiday week in the Tarrant County Jail charged with 5 counts of robbery. Investigators say Dennis is the man in these videos who committed 5 robberies at corner stores across the city of Fort Worth in less than 2 months. The first 4 robberies, Fort Worth police say he would use a distraction and then hold the clerk at knife point. Most recently, on December 16th, a food mart off Mansfield Highway was hit. The owner told Fox 4 Dennis held his clerk at gunpoint and got away with $2 grand in cash and lottery scratch-off tickets. Fox 4 aired the surveillance video the next day. Within hours, Fort Worth police say multiple credible tips came into the department, all pointing to Dennis.
With you guys' help, with what y'all released, we're able to find a serial robber who was apprehended for 5 cases. That again, he hopefully won't be doing it.
Authorities in Sherman near the Texas-Oklahoma border are still searching for a missing 8-year-old girl. She disappeared after her family's SUV crashed and ended up in a creek. Today's bad weather made that search even more difficult, and we are learning tonight about the man who died in the crash, believed to be the little girl's father. Fox 4's David Centendry spoke with police and has the update. David.
Well, Heather, state and local emergency crews have been searching for that 8-year-old girl. Nothing today, and that rain you're talking about, of course, made the search even more difficult.
Water was moving pretty fast. It swept their vehicle downstream.
Emergency crews will resume searching Friday morning for an 8-year-old girl who disappeared after her family's SUV crashed on the morning of Christmas Eve on Highway 75 in Sherman. Police say they do not want to give false hope surrounding the search for the young girl.
But we have not stopped hoping for a miracle.
Police say 6 family members were in their SUV traveling to McKinney from Durant, Oklahoma, when it hydroplaned. It crashed into an overflowing drainage ditch and carried to a nearby creek.
They were caught in a drainage ditch just to the west of the road.
4 family members were rescued, and while the 8-year-old has not been found, the body of an adult male was found a 1.5 miles away from that scene in a creek bed. Authorities have not released the name of that man, but some family and community members have identified him as Will Robinson, a girls' basketball coach for Durant High School. It's believed the little girl who remains missing is his daughter.
What's at the forefront of all of our minds is the family who is still looking for their little...
Shit, he probably was trying to get his
murder
dog.
against an officer. They tell us Makai Wiley was involved in a shootout with an officer during a pursuit. News 2's Gabby Davis talked to police. Gabby, what they tell you?
Silvio, Wiley has a long criminal history, and officials are considering him armed and dangerous. Friday night, just after 10 p.m., BRPD officers say they tried to stop a stolen vehicle on Bank Street. 2 juveniles and 2 adults were inside.
While the officer was attempting to pull that vehicle over, one of the person's occupants inside started shooting at the officer.
During the pursuit, the driver jumped out of the vehicle near Hammond Street. 20-year-old Corey Bassett was arrested. The 2 juveniles were detained and let go.
The officer then, as attempted to pull that person over and returned fire.
The driver and shooter has been identified as 20-year-old Michael Wiley.
He has been involved in multiple incidents in surrounding parishes and probably here in Baton Rouge. So we know that he's actively out there committing crimes.
Those crimes Wiley is accused of include 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. Sergeant L.G. McNeely says that Wiley is under investigation for other incidents.
We would like to arrest this individual for this particular crime, amongst others that we believe he's been actively participating in.
If anyone has information on Wiley's whereabouts, please.
News 2 at 6. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. First at 6 o'clock as the family of 8-year-old Dylan Daniels prepares to have their first Christmas without him. Baton Rouge police are still searching for the last of 4 suspects wanted for his murder. 19-year-old Roger Parker has been on the run since that shooting. Police say he is the prime suspect in several other shootings. The investigative unit, Bess Casterly, has this message from BRPD for anyone who may know where he is, but not speaking up.
Sylvia, as the holidays approach, Baton Rouge police say it's possible Parker may be reaching out to family and friends for help, but they're warning the public if they do, they could also go to jail.
He's out there somewhere, and people know what's going on.
19-year-old Roger Parker has evaded capture for nearly a month now. The last of 4 suspects to be arrested for the shooting death of 8-year-old Dylan Daniels. Baton Rouge police want whoever is helping him stay out of jail to know they may be joining him if they don't turn him in soon.
We know that somebody's out there assisting this last person out here on these streets, and you will definitely be held accountable.
With Christmas just 2 days away, police say Parker may be reaching out to friends and family for help, and that helping him in even a minor way is a crime.
Picking them up and taking them from one location to another. Again, housing that person, giving them food. Instead of turning them in, making the call, doing the right thing, you're assisting them in eluding police.
Compounding the urgency to get Parker in custody, police have tied him to other shootings around town, including a double shooting on Fairchild Street during Southern's homecoming weekend.
I'm not going to give a specific number, but he has been involved in multiple incidents.
Parker's accomplice, Yancey Jarrell, also tied to another murder. What they done is evil. Jarrell was charged with the murder of Jayrick Washington back in March.
How do you move on from this?
While he was in custody for the Daniels shooting.
He's been known to affiliate with
Police refusing to use the word gang, but confirm all 4 men involved are part of a known violent street group.
These group of guys have been involved in multiple incidents, multiple shootings, multiple violent acts of crime. We need this last individuals in hopes that when we do get this person, crime will start to slow and trend down.
Now, if you have seen Parker, you're encouraged to call Baton Rouge police. For the investigative unit, Bess Casterly, WB.
Shit, he hiding from y'all.
New tonight, a St. Charles Parish man is in jail accused of holding a teenager captive in a tent in the woods in Tangipahoa Parish. Police say Alexander Mathern picked up the 14-year-old from her home in Tennessee after meeting online. The investigative unit's Bess Casterly has more on how this happened and what charge he is now facing.
Michael, tonight we're told the girl is okay, but understandably distressed by the ordeal. Inside this tent, located in the woods between Hammond and Ponchatoula, police found a 14-year-old girl apparently being kept there by this man, 28-year-old Alexander Mathern.
A secluded place in the woods and put her in a tent, put her up in a tent and had her stay there. And she was there for approximately 2 days.
The girl was okay. Mathern had left her food and water, but officials say she appeared shaken up. Her captor, a resident of St. Rose near New Orleans, was arrested more than 2 hours away at his parents' home in Jennings.
The following morning, we got another call that he may possibly have come to visit his parents. We again went back to the residence and located him there.
After he was brought in for questioning, he eventually led authorities straight to her.
He cooperated after a while. He denied having knowledge of her whereabouts, but then he admitted to the detective that he did.
Jennings Police Chief Danny Sims says Mathern told police he drove across state lines to pick up the teenager.
He admitted that he had gone to Tennessee and picked up the young girl, brought her back to his residence, and where they engaged in a relationship or sexual intercourse.
The two had never met in person, but knew each other from a shared hobby.
They've been on online gaming.
I've got flowers for you. This is from Matern's YouTube channel, where he posts videos of him playing video games online. This is where he could have met the 14-year-old. Got it. Sims said he's not sure if the girl went willingly with Matern, but given her age, it's a crime regardless.
I mean, this behavior in itself is not.
Man, that shit that pissed me
A
off.
homeowner shot and killed one of two men who broke into his home in Bradenton, and the other suspect was caught while trying to run away. Two men with masks on were spotted on the homeowner's surveillance camera trying to get through the back of the house on Hickory Hammock Circle last night. News Channel 8's Mackenzie Laporte joins us live with the latest on that investigation. Mackenzie.
Yes, and now the Manatee County Sheriff's Department has identified both suspects. There was a first appearance today where Michael Sotomayor took the stand. Now he is going to be held in jail until his next hearing, and he's being charged with armed burglary, with possibly more charges pending.
The bottom line is, this is the state of Florida. You want to break into someone's home, you should expect to be shot.
The night after Christmas, two masked men broke into a Bradenton home. One shot and killed, the other caught blocks away on foot. According to the Manatee Sheriff's Department, they are currently working with Border Control to learn more details on the suspects.
What we believe is that the suspect that survived is of Chilean descent, came to California from Chile sometime a few months ago. I guess if you are from Chile, Border Patrol gives you a 90-day visa. That visa was supposed to expire in September. Suspect never returned back to Chile. Somehow made it to Tampa about six days ago.
While the investigation is still ongoing, the neighborhood of River Club has shared their fears as they heard gunshots ring in.
Well, we were just watching a movie and my dad was by the window and he goes, I'm pretty sure I just heard some gunshots.
Levi Newceder alongside his mother were visiting for the holidays. Aiden Ursai caught up with them before heading off to the airport.
Then we learned that there was still one guy out there and I was pretty scared for a little bit, I'm not gonna lie.
Had them white people out there.
No, residents who have lived in the area for 20 plus years have said that they're not only shocked that this happened days after Christmas, but in this area specifically.
Yeah, I can only imagine how they're feeling.
Motherfucker breaking their motherfucking houses.
There's a grisly discovery on the beach of the Palos Verdes estates. Police say a family walking on Christmas morning discovered a human leg along the shoreline. NBC4's Ted Chen has the latest on the investigation.
The grisly discovery was made by a hiker and his family on the shoreline off Paseo del Mar, a portion of a human leg that, according to the South Bay Responders News Agency, was dirty and partially decomposed.
Appreciate y'all tapping that like button, man.
And think like what,
subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel.
This is not believable. What's gone wrong?
Our beaches are typically rock,
news
my understanding that it was located at the shoreline, but atop some rocks.
6 o'clock
Captain
news
Aaron
to show you
Belda,
love,
the Palos
baby.
Verdes Estates Police Department, says a cadaver dog was used to search for more possible remains and that investigators went back to the shoreline today to look again. He says there's nothing so far to connect the discovery of the leg to two fishermen reported missing earlier this week.
At this time, we're not ruling anything out.
I got my own news station on YouTube, baby.
That the two are connected.
Come watch that 6 o'clock
was
news
discovered
to show
early
you
morning
love,
Tuesday, but
man.
the two men were not aboard and were reported missing. A small craft advisory was issued at the time, warning boaters about waves up to 10 feet high. The Coast Guard suspended the search for the men after more than 30 hours. Ted Chen,
At the
NBC4
goddamn
News.
beach.
Video. This is just into our newsroom. The family of a woman who's believed to be a victim of human trafficking has put up a new billboard in hopes of finding her. Ruthie Smith was 19 years old when she went missing in March of 2022. She was last seen along the Figueroa Street corridor. Police said that area has become known for sex trafficking of young teenagers. Smith has the names Ezra and Lamarian tattooed near her ears and the name Ocean tattooed on her chest. Her family hopes this new billboard in Long Beach will lead to new tips from the public.
Today is my daughter's birthday. She turns 22 years old. I pretty much lived in my car on Figueroa for the first 3 months my daughter went missing. I went from state to state. I did everything I could. I didn't care about putting myself on the front line because I had to save her. And I failed her. Stop. I will never give up hope. I know you're still alive and I have to find you. I have to reunite you with your baby.
Anyone with any information is being asked to call the Long Beach Police Department. And we have new details on a Christmas Day murder that happened in Panorama City. The LA County Medical Examiner's Office has just identified the victim as 33-year-old Samuel Ramirez. He was killed Wednesday night near Cedros Avenue in Parthenia. Police say that 4 men got into some sort of an argument and that the victim was shot and killed. The 3 other men then drove off. Anyone with information is being asked to call the LAPD.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Pat Harvey.
And I'm Gio Insignares. We begin with breaking news in Arlington Heights.
That's right, Desmond Shaw, live at SkyCal, where a body was found at a bus stop. Des.
That's right, Pat. Gio, sad discovery here on Olympic Boulevard, just west of Crenshaw at the Metro bus stop, actually right on the bus bench. That is where someone came upon someone who was deceased here, and they had reason to suspect that that person may have been here for a while. They were waiting for the coroner to be here, to get to the scene rather, and confirm that. LAPD just has the scene secured as they wait for the coroner. No word about foul play or anything like that. Still pretty early in the investigatory stages here. Westbound traffic on Olympic Boulevard slightly impacted here for at least the next couple of hours until the coroner comes and see if they can ascertain what happened with someone found deceased on a bus bench today. Live at SkyCal overhead, I'm Desmond Shaw. Pat, Gio, back to you in the studio.
Desmond, thank you so much. Breaking news now, police pursuit and a shooting. LAPD officers chasing a man while he was shot. KCAL News assignment editor Mike Rogers at the desk piecing this one together. Mike?
Yeah, Gio, really bizarre set of situations here. So what we know is that Southeast gang detectives, or gang units rather, were in the area of 92nd and Hooper Avenue when they got into a foot pursuit of a shooting suspect. I want to show you a video from that scene. This is in 2 different places here. Here's 92nd and Hooper. This is where LAPD initiated this, and this is where those shots were fired by that LAPD officer. But here's the thing, we believe that that suspect who was hit by gunfire by that officer was able to get into a car and take off. That led LAPD on a pursuit that ended in Compton. I want to show you a video from that scene. SkyCal here. Look at this is the gray Nissan that those cops were chasing. That shooting suspect believed to be in that car. It is believed that this is where the shooting suspect was then taken to the hospital from those gunshot wounds from those gang unit officers from Southeast Division. Now, it's unclear what brought those gang units to that area, if they were responding originally to this, if they were surveilling those suspects, if they had reason to believe that they were shooting suspects from a different shooting, or if there was a shooting tonight. All of that is still unclear. This will be a very lengthy investigation. Now, Geo, Force Investigation Division, the DA's office, everybody has to come out and sort this one out, and they'll have to do it across 2 scenes.
Now look, 3 people stabbed to death.
People have been found stabbed to death at a home in Baldwin Park. Investigators say 1 male and 2 females had multiple stab wounds to their upper body. KCAL News reporter Amanda Sarantino live at Bogart Avenue in Cabot Place with the latest on this attack. Amanda.
Chris, a horrific incident here. Yes, we know that 1 man and 2 women are dead this morning, stabbed to death in a home here on Bogart Avenue in this cul-de-sac behind me. Crime scene tape still up, so we can't get any further, but that home is a little bit down the way. So investigators still on scene here as they try to piece together exactly what happened. We do know 1 man has been taken into custody as a person of interest after 3 people are found dead in this home last night. Our SkyCal chopper overhead last night as this homicide investigation unfolded. Around 7 p.m. yesterday, Baldwin Park police responded to a disturbance call. When they got here, we are told they saw a man get in a car that was in the driveway. That's when he sped out quickly and then crashed right here in the cul-de-sac. That person taken into custody. He is not under arrest, but is being detained as a person of interest. 3 people found dead inside this house with multiple stab wounds to their upper body. We know it was 1 man, 2 women. At this time, we do not know their ages or relationships with one another. As to how the man who's a person of interest is related or connected, that still remains in question.
He came from the house, but I don't know if he actually lives there yet or what his association is to the house. But as the investigation progresses, I'm sure that will come out and we'll know more once that happens.
Incoming Trump administration says it will bring back family detention centers for migrants with kids.
Donald Trump's border Tom Homan says that there is a plan to build new facilities. We're joined live this morning by Muzaffar Chisti, a lawyer and director of the Migration Policy Institute. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks so much for having me.
Okay, so first, how many new detention centers are we talking about and who would be targeted here?
Well, we don't know. I mean, that's part of Mr. Holman's lack of specificity. To build new detention centers takes a long time, a lot of money, and the Congress has not appropriated the money for that. In 2021, the Biden administration ended 3 detention family centers. So to build them up is going to take a long time. He's suggesting that they may build some tent facilities near the border, but those are also quite expensive and they take time to build up. So it'll take some time, but if they want to build it up, it will happen over time.
You know, I'm curious. There's been some reporting overnight into this morning that there's a pretty messy feud over immigration with backers in Silicon Valley. We saw Elon Musk tweeting yesterday on social media. They're at odds now with MAGA loyalists. It looks like the tech industry is supporting visas for highly skilled overseas workers. What do you make of this, and how does this impact what the president-elect wants to do on day one and stay true to his loyalists?
I think that's exactly true. There's a lot of schism we're going to see in the Trump administration. People who believe that the original promise of closing down the border and deporting all 11 million people out of the country is one side. On the other hand, he has a lot of followers who believe that legal immigration is very important to the economic health of our country. So you will see a lot of tension there. But I believe that initially, he will try to do on day one,
Well, a major court reversal tonight. San Francisco 49ers star Dana Stubblefield's rape conviction, this was a former star, has been overturned. A jury had found him guilty of raping a prospective babysitter at his Morgan Hill home back in 2015. And now an appellate court has tossed out the conviction, citing racial bias. NBC Bay Area's Emma Goss spoke to Stubblefield's attorney about where things stand.
Already in state prison since 2021, while his appeal was heard, Dana Stubblefield's rape conviction has now been overturned. He was originally sentenced in 2020 to 15 years to life in prison.
Was it long overdue? It was. Are we thankful? Yes. Did we expect it? We absolutely expected this case to be overturned.
A California appellate court found Stubblefield didn't get a fair trial and that the prosecution violated the Racial Justice Act by making racially biased claims about Stubblefield being black.
The court did not say Mr. Stubblefield was innocent, only that he did not get a fair trial due to the violation of the Racial Justice Act.
Stubblefield was convicted in July 2020 of raping a woman who was allegedly at his home to interview for a babysitting job in 2015. She claimed he threatened her with a gun, but police never searched for it. Prosecutors claimed the reason a search was never done had partly to do with Stubblefield being a famous black man on trial during the George Floyd protests.
The use of a firearm was centerpiece to Mr. Stubblefield's conviction in this case. And yet the police never searched his home to see whether he even had a firearm.
Stubblefield's attorney will be back in court next week, fighting to get Stubblefield out of prison and home with his family.
So we're going to fight for that next week, and then we'll take it the next step to have this case completely dismissed.
The court's decision has far-reaching impacts beyond Stubblefield. It's a watershed moment for the Racial Justice Act, a law passed in 2020, shortly after Stubblefield's conviction, authored by Assembly member Ash Kalra of San Jose.
Hey, y'all subscribe to the channel, man.
To how trials
hit the like button
in the future because of it.
The only Michigan man on death row will no longer be facing execution. President Joe Biden commuted the death sentences of more than 36 federal prisoners. He was one of them. In 2002, Marvin Gabriel was sentenced to death for the murder of Rachel Timmerman. Her father says he had prepared himself to attend that execution.
We thought the timing was despicable.
How so?
We felt that President Biden could have waited until after the holidays.
Though he says he's not opposed to the commutation itself. Rachel Timmerman's father, Tim Timmerman, says the U.S. Attorney's Office in Grand Rapids called him Sunday night to tell him that Biden had commuted Gabriel's death sentence, which means Gabriel will serve life with no chance of freedom.
I offered to speak with you today because I'm a family of a victim, and I think President Biden offered a Christmas gift to the perpetrators of murder, but he offered only pain to the victims of the families of the families of the victims.
Biden says commutations were consistent with his administration's moratorium on federal executions in cases other than terrorism and hate-motivated mass murder. He issued the commutations just weeks before President-elect Donald Trump, an outspoken proponent of expanding capital punishment, takes office.
Can you imagine anyone who deserves it more than Marvin Gabriel?
No one, you couldn't imagine someone that deserved it more than Mr. Gabriel. He killed at least 5 people. Where's the justice in just giving him a prison bed to die comfortably in?
Gabriel was convicted of killing Timmerman in 1997, throwing her into a lake weighted down and alive to keep her from testifying against him in a rape trial. Her body surfaced in Oxford Lake in the Manistee National Forest, giving the federal government jurisdiction in the case. The Michigan Constitution banned the death penalty in 1847. And the body of Rachel's 11-month-old daughter Shannon was never recovered, despite repeated searches of the lake.
From the get-go, we offered to trade the death penalty for information regarding my granddaughter. We offered that from the very get-go. Gabriel was unwilling to tell us what he did with Shannon. So that's always remained an open hole in our heart. I think we've accepted that we're not going to see Shannon again. We've accepted that. So that bargaining chip is really irrelevant. So, no.
Do you think she's in that lake?
That would be my best guess. Yeah. Absolutely.
Timmerman, who co-authored a book on the case, says he'd accepted, even before the commutation, that Gabriel would likely die a natural death in prison. Gabriel is now 71.
Actually, I never really felt that Gabriel would be put to death by the federal government. We felt that the best case, he would be locked in a very small cage and not allowed to hurt anyone else. That was our best case scenario.
Rachel would be 46, Shannon would be 28, probably spending Christmas at Grandpa's home in northern Kent County.
It's just crazy. It's hard.
Shot while driving tonight, Michigan State Police are investigating what led to a mother's SUV being hit by bullets along Interstate 94.
That mother is in stable condition tonight. Her 2 kids were not harmed. This happened on westbound I-94 near Mount Elliott around 1:40 this morning. The investigation backed up traffic on the interstate.
That mother and her kids were on their way home from a Christmas gathering with family. As Shantae Passmore shows us, police still don't know why the shooter opened fire in the first place.
You know, it's a trek we're all familiar with, driving back home after celebrating the holidays. On the way home for one mother, while she was driving with her children inside the SUV, it turned dangerous. Bullets fly on the interstate. Just after 1:30 a.m., a 911 caller reports someone shot at her SUV, bullets also striking her. Early investigative details show the mother's vehicle took several shots as she drove home with her kids westbound on I-94 near Mount Elliott. The scene forced drivers around the investigation for a few hours. Michigan State Police tells me it's not clear what led to the shooting. It's working to uncover any information on the suspect and suspect vehicle.
Naturally, you know, freeway shootings get a little bit more media attention just because it affects all of us and we travel that way. But we're concerned about anybody that uses a handgun to settle any type of dispute.
Michigan State Police say they're not releasing information on the firearm used in the shooting, but say they're also relying on technology to help. And at last check, we're told the mother went into surgery. Incredibly, her children walked away with no injuries. We're told family came to the scene earlier and picked them up. Reporting from Detroit's East Side, Shantae Passmore, Local 4.
And new information coming at 6, giving context to a Christmas Eve triple shooting in Oxford, not far from the high school where tragedy struck during the holiday season of 2021. One person died, 2 others were injured after someone apparently upset over something that happened Christmas Eve just started shooting.
And the sheriff using the word random to describe what happened along Raid Road between Lapeer Road and Oxford Road. Erica Erickson is over in Pontiac at the Oakland County Sheriff's Office. Erica, you've been looking into the criminal history of the suspect. What is the sheriff telling you on that?
Well, I can tell you, sheriff's deputies are still trying to piece together exactly what happened. While they are calling it random, the fact that that suspected shooter had a gun, they say was not random. And we're learning a lot more about that suspect and his criminal past. Take a look.
We have some alleged information. He was at a Christmas party and was transversing from there to home, which is in a different county. So how Oxford ended up in that flight path, I guess, is part of that randomness.
That randomness turning what should have been a peaceful evening, Christmas Eve, into a nightmare. 30 shell casings, at least 2 different locations. 911 calls coming in around 6:30 and deputies finding 3 people shot. a man and 2 women inside a car, one of them sadly dying. The other shot several times in her torso and upper body.
We hope and believe and pray that she's going to come through, but it's significant injuries. But, at this point, we think the 2 remaining victims will both come through.
This all unfolding on Ray Road between Lapeer and North Oxford Roads. The shooter just passing through. According to the Oakland County Sheriff's Office, the suspect, police believe, was on his way home to Genesee County and had gotten into at least 2 minor car accidents, ending up in the Oxford community.
It tragically just ended up being a point in the middle between A and B, and I doubt that the individual involved even had a clue what community he was in when this started.
Sheriff Michael Bouchard says the suspect, who is a convicted felon, was arrested at the scene with a gun in his hand and should never have had possession of a weapon in the first place.
He's had weapons charges, multiple weapons charges going back at least a decade.
That he was just shooting at people.
Yes.
Yeah, he on the highway just shooting
Now,
at
that
people,
alleged
man.
shooter is expected to be charged later this week, and charges could include, according to Sheriff Michael Bouchard, murder, assault with intent to murder, and felonious assault, among other charges.
A family is in mourning tonight after their loved one is beaten to death in Madison Heights. Family members say Robert Kavanaugh was just trying to rescue a dog when he was attacked. Thanks for joining us at 11. I'm Ty Steele.
I'm Wolf Jones in for Kimberly Gill. The 60-year-old's alleged attacker is in police custody. Sean Lay spoke with Kavanaugh's family. He joins us now with their message.
Subscribe to the channel, y'all.
Among us, we never
hit the like button, the 3 white dots at
Robert
the top.
Kavanaugh, he was known
Turn
as
us up on the likes.
mobile home community
Subscribe
for
to the
rescuing
channel.
and caring for the animals there. His family never dreamt that Robert would be
Come
beaten
on,
to
man.
death for trying
It's
to
probably
help a dog who was
5:30
being
somewhere,
abused by his owner.
4:30 somewhere,
Robert was just
7:30
trying to do the
somewhere.
right
Y'all
thing.
watching the news will show you love, man.
Don't understand
Remember
how sweet he was and generous and an animal lover.
You can tell Jane Thompson is still in shock. Her baby brother,
Rich
60-year-old
Jamaica and this
Robert Kavanaugh,
motherfucker.
was
Shout out
found
to that
dead
boy,
in the
Rich
middle of
Jamaica,
the street
man.
in his manufactured home community in Madison Heights Christmas Eve. When his stunned family went to identify Robert's remains at the medical examiner's office, his injuries were so severe the family was not allowed to see him. Robert Kavanaugh had been bludgeoned to death with a pipe, all because he stepped in between a helpless dog who was being abused by its owner. What's more, police took Kavanaugh's neighbor into custody. This family is learning that the man spent 20 years in prison for one major crime and another 10 years for another major crime. This family believes that man's violent behavior was well known. He should never have been released to be free to harm or murder a loved one like Robert Kavanaugh.
I can only see good in people. And I suppose Bobby was the same.
Robert's family, they're asking for prayers, but they're demanding justice in this case. They've also been hit with funeral costs out of nowhere. They have a GoFundMe.
Man.
New this morning, we're learning more about what led to a fatal stabbing at the Kroger Distribution Center Thursday morning. Fox 13 investigative reporter Kayla Solomon joined us live from Green Hill. Kayla, a police affidavit says it all started with an argument and escalated from there.
Yeah, Dominique, good morning. We are learning plenty of new information about what happened here at the Kroger Distribution Center yesterday morning, but we also now have a face and name of the suspect, the man that police say is responsible. That person is Anderson Todd, and an affidavit confirms that he was also an employee at the distribution center. That affidavit says the two, it started when they were yelling profanities at each other. And at one point, the victim, identified as Jacoby Hobson, asked Todd to fight him in an area with no cameras, and Todd refused. Shortly after, Todd started stabbing Hobson, and that's when Hobson collapsed. This all came from a witness that was speaking to police yesterday.
They say that Hobson was then pronounced dead just after 9 a.m., shortly after paramedics got to the scene. Now, we spoke to a family friend of Hobson yesterday. She described him as a great father and provider for the family. We also did get a statement from Kroger expressing their condolences. Coming up in about 30 minutes, I'll also give you more information on what we were able to learn about the victim, Jacoby Hobson.
That's Fox 13's.
I'm trying to tell you, man.
I'm Lieutenant Riley with the Houston Police Department. We're in the 2000 block of Spenwick investigating an aggravated robbery. The incident occurred around 2:15 this morning. We have a female complainant who stated she was pulling into her apartment complex when she was approached by several males. They all had guns. She reported they attempted to rob her of her vehicle. That female and those suspects exchanged gunfire. The suspects then began to flee the apartment complex. However, they were trapped by the gate. A male came out trying to stop them. They shot at him, striking him in the leg. He's an adult male. He's in stable condition, and he was transported to a local hospital after our officers rendered aid here on scene. Those suspects eventually climbed the fence and fled on foot. We don't have a good suspect description at this time, and we are waiting for our robbery investigators to come out. Do you have any questions? All right, thank you for your time.
Also this morning, a judge has denied rap mogul Jay-Z's request to identify the rape accuser in a Jane Doe sexual assault lawsuit against him. She alleges she was 13 years old when the rapper and Sean Diddy Combs raped her during a VMA's after party that was in 2000. Lawsuit was filed in October. Jay-Z, whose real name is Sean Carter, was added to the complaint on December 8th. Both Carter and Combs have denied the woman's claims, that woman represented by Houston attorney Tony Busby. Judge's ruling now allows the woman to proceed anonymously in the case.
Good morning, ma'am. Please state your name.
Brianna Alvelo. At 22 years old, Brianna Alvelo could spend the rest of her life behind bars. She's accused of making a pizza delivery turn violent.
State believes that this is a punishable by life offense. There should be no bond set, and it should not be set for a pretrial detention hearing.
Osceola County Sheriff's Office says on Sunday evening, someone staying at the Rivera Motel in Kissimmee ordered pizza. Detectives claim Alvelo delivered the pizza to the person, but she was not happy with her tip.
I do find that there is probable cause.
Investigators say Alvelo came back to the motel room, this time with a man who had a gun. They say the two of them forced their way into the room, and then Alvelo used a knife to stab the victim several times.
And I've never heard of nothing like that. I have 3 kids, but it's good to know because I'll always be aware.
The woman is also accused of stealing things from the room. She is facing charges of home invasion, attempted murder, kidnapping, and aggravated assault.
That goes to show you don't trust nobody, no matter what.
Pizza lady.
Deputies are looking for the armed man who was with Alvelo.
And she brought some niggas with her.
Thank you for that clarification. Thank you, Miss Alvelo.
Boy, ain't that some shit? Shit.
Hey there, welcome back everybody, and we're going to go back to that breaking news story out of Northwest Harris County now. That is where a man is dead after being stabbed to death. The Harris County Sheriff's Office is investigating at an apartment complex on FM 1960. You're looking at a live report. Officials are speaking and giving more information on all of this.
Houston news right here.
Right now.
Autopsy.
We got Chicago coming up next. A 2-year-old shot, person in interest. Chicago coming up
the
next.
hospital and then pronounced dead later, or he was DOA?
He was pronounced deceased at the hospital.
And
subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel.
Made at this location, or
not at this
Hit
location,
the like button. Turn us up on the likes, y'all. It's 3 right dots at the top to the right hand side. Hit them 3 right dots.
Still in the process of
and hit the like button, the thumbs up. Turn us up on the likes. Subscribe to the channel. Hit all notifications.
If it was found out that she let him in, how does that change? Well, I mean, obviously it could change something, but, right now we take everything into account. We take the totality of all those circumstances. We do know that they had a previous relationship, so we don't know if he actually, forced his way in or if she let him in trying to, calm him down or something like that. We're just not sure at this point.
Is it too early to tell if either party involved has a previous criminal history or record at all?
Yeah, we haven't delved that far into it yet. That's obviously one of the things that we'll check.
So we don't know, if this guy was out on bond for anything?
No, I couldn't tell you anything in that nature right now.
Okay. And do you see an uptick in calls of this type this time of year, domestic disturbances? Are they becoming more frequently or more common this time of year, the holidays?
Not necessarily. They seem to be all the time.
Lay low, what's the deal? What's the deal? Appreciate you tapping that like button, man. Okay, we got Lay Low in the building.
What appears to have been a...
Now this is a person that inches right here.
That 2-year-old boy was shot multiple times in the lower body. What led to the gunfire is unclear tonight, but a neighbor tells us he's heard loud arguing at that location
He's a survivor, man.
On this west side block, at a home surrounded by crime tape, emotions running high after a toddler was critically wounded. Neighbor Alexander Ontiveros told us in Spanish he's upset to hear a child was hurt. It happened around 4 p.m. on this day after Christmas, near 14th and Avers in the Lawndale neighborhood. Police say a 2-year-old boy was shot multiple times in the lower body, while inside a residence in this multi-unit building.
Caller said there's a male losing blood. His nephew has been shot in the leg.
Officials say the boy was rushed to Stroger Hospital in critical condition. At the home, police say they recovered a weapon and took into custody a person of interest. Police have not said what led to the gunfire. But the neighbor tells us for days he's heard loud shouting and arguing and a baby crying in that unit where the shooting happened. Detectives now investigating as a child fights for his life.
Again, police say they have a person of interest in custody, but have not said how that individual might be connected to that toddler.
We start tonight at 5:30 with a family desperate for answers. They want to know who shot and killed their loved one, and they say somebody needs to speak up. Kevon Price was shot and killed last year near his home on Detroit's northwest side. It's unclear why he was targeted.
His family says he brought not only joy but also inspiration to his loved ones, and they want the shooter brought to justice.
It's just hard to say why. If you knew him, you would have loved him. You didn't know him. If you took him away from me, you had no idea who he was as a person.
28-year-old Kevon Price had just gotten into his car on Oakfield Avenue between Pilgrim and Puritan on his way to work on the morning of June 8, 2023, when a car drove by and someone fired shots, killing him, leaving an unfillable void in so many hearts.
He was just a good guy. He was quiet. He was humble, but everybody loved him. Everybody loved him. He drew people to him.
He probably fucked the nigga bitch.
The killer remains on the run. His family now making this plea for your help to find the person responsible.
You know who you are.
I'm trying to tell you.
If you got any kind of conscience, and the people around you, if they got any kind of conscience, just call Crime Stoppers.
KP, as he was known among his loved ones, was a source of inspiration for so many.
My brother was so outgoing, ambitious. He didn't let nothing stop him.
Every day is still a fight for me to understand I'm still living this life without my big brother. He was more than just a brother to me. And that's why I want this world to understand and know. He was a leader. He was a motivator. He would get me going.
Rewards are paid when tips lead to an arrest, and you will remain anonymous. To report a tip, call 1-800-SPEAK.
We don't want to hear all that.
A family is fighting
Subscribe to the channel, y'all. The 3 right dots at the top, hit that, and so you can hit the thumbs up on the likes, man.
I'm Mike Duffy.
And I'm Whitney
Subscribe to the channel.
Tommy Ireland was shot to death on Detroit's east side just 2 days before Christmas.
Tonight, the victim's relatives opened up to 7 News Detroit reporter Darren Cunningham at a Candlelight vigil.
Family and friends of Tommy Ireland gathered here on Detroit's west side to remember a son, a brother, a cousin, and a friend whose life was cut short due to senseless violence.
I pray, God, that you will touch every broken heart. I pray, God, that you will wipe away every tear. And I ask right now in the name of Jesus that you will give your people strength.
Loved ones shed tears during a candlelight vigil and balloon release for Tommy Ireland, also known as Mike. Detroit police say the 37-year-old was shot and killed Monday evening.
It's chaos out here. It's chaos. Nobody should go through burying anybody, especially off of senseless crime, man. Something that was senseless. Like, it's senseless, man. When I say Tommy was a good man, he was a good man, bro. He wasn't one of them. He was one of them other ones.
The shooting happened on the city's east side in the 9200 block of Kirchville. Investigators say the suspect, 34-year-old Craig Michael Bergeron, is from Saline, and that he ended up assaulting someone else in St. Clair Shores after killing Ireland. He was captured Tuesday.
Don't know who he is at all. I never seen him before.
Ashley Ireland, Tommy's sister, says her family is still waiting to speak with homicide detectives in order to get answers to so many unanswered questions, like what connection, if any, did the suspect have to her brother and why he'd want him dead.
He loved everybody.
He probably fucked that little bitch.
Tommy, he had a smile, he had a heart. He gave, he looked out, you know.
Love his family.
He loved him, man, he loved. He got nieces and nephews, you know. Uncle Mike coming through. He's silly. He go.
And our top story tonight, an 18-year-old high school athlete's life taken in a drive-by shooting on Christmas Eve. Tonight, the mother of Sakaya Smith shares her grief.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm Faith Jesse. Jennifer and Ron have the night off. Well, Sakaya's mother says that she was a senior at Carver High School, set to graduate in May with plans to attend Albany State University. But her life was cut short. 11 Live's Cody Alcorn spoke to her mother this evening. Cody, we know you're joining us live from the APD headquarters in downtown Atlanta. Do we know if police have identified a suspect here?
Faith, not publicly, but after speaking with Sakaya's mom, who did ask we not show her face, obviously still upset just 2 days ago losing her daughter, the homicide unit here at APD seemed to be working some promising leads.
I just want justice for my baby. Oh my God, I'm sorry.
A Carver Panther.
She didn't deserve that.
18-year-old Sakaya Smith was shot not even a half mile from home in her Pittsburgh neighborhood in southwest Atlanta.
I texted her phone at 6:21. You at home?
It was Christmas Eve.
Because I was still, on the way home.
Brittany Harp says she'd just wrapped up some last-minute shopping.
She didn't respond. She never not responded to me.
What she didn't know is Sakaya had been shot 20 minutes before that text, which Harp learned once she got home.
I got a knock at the door saying that she has been shot in her chest.
Harp raced to Smith Street, just around the corner.
It was crime scene tape, and I lost it.
Sakaya was already at Grady, but doctors couldn't save her.
She finna graduate in May.
Her entire life ahead of her.
Hold on to your kids. Hold on to them tight. I don't wish this on the soul. I don't wish this on nobody.
As for the person who pulled the trigger,
to take her away from me and you sleep at night, you're a coward. Like, literally, you're a coward.
The school did send us a statement just hours ago saying everyone who knew Sakaya loved her. She touched countless lives and will forever be remembered at Carver. The school is planning to hold a memorial service for her in January. Live in downtown Atlanta, Cody Alcorn.
17-year-old boy is now facing charges in connection with this shooting that left a 2-year-old boy with critical injuries, including obstructing justice, destroying evidence, and causing a child to be endangered. Crime scene tape litters the ground, and medical gloves remain crumpled up near 14th and Avers, the scene of a post-Christmas shooting that's left a 2-year-old boy fighting to live.
Father said there's a male losing blood. His nephew has been shot in the leg.
2 women are dead after they were shot inside of a Park Forest home with 2 young children inside. Police were called there last night in the 300 block of Miami Street near Blackhawk Drive. One of the women died at the home, the other died at the hospital. The 2 young children who were with them were not physically harmed. They were taken to hospitals to be checked out. Police say they believe the women knew the person who killed them.
Watch breaking news on YouTube. Subscribe to ABC7 Chicago Eyewitness News.
A man was caught on camera breaking into a Lowe's in Plymouth Township on Christmas Day. Surveillance video shows Omar Dickens casually walking through the store and grabbing items until his cart was overflowing. The store's remote monitoring center detected the man's presence since the store was closed for the holiday. When officers arrived, they saw a large budget rental box truck taking off from the garden center. Police say Dickens struck their patrol vehicle as they responded, then ran from the box truck. Police found him hiding in a nearby drainage pipe. Dickens is now behind bars, facing burglary charges.
Shit, he was trying to get it.
And a woman sitting inside a vehicle in Philadelphia's Mantua section were shot and killed. This morning, police are searching for 2 gunmen.
Investigators say the suspects fired nearly 20 shots into both sides of the SUV around 10 o'clock last night.
Trill, what's the deal, Trill? I see you up in here, man.
With the latest on this.
Hey, y'all hit that like button for me, man.
Aliana and Maggie, good morning.
Turn me up on them likes, y'all. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed yet.
We're finding out the names of the victims. We're being told that the male victim was 53-year-old Kimo Vaughn of Upper Darby, and the female was 28-year-old Tahira Wynn of Tobyhanna Township in the Poconos. A dozen bullet holes in the front passenger side window and door of this SUV.
So we know at least 18 shots were fired.
The driver's side was also shot several times.
So it appears there was 2 shooters approached this vehicle and fired shots into both sides of the vehicle.
Police say the SUV was parked with the engine running when the shooting happened at around 10 o'clock last night on Union Street near the intersection of Folsom Street in the city's Mantua section. Investigators say the man in the driver's seat and the female passenger died at the scene. Homicide detectives currently have crucial video evidence showing the moment that led up to the shooting.
We have police real-time crime cameras just north of the location of the shooting, and it did record what appeared to be 2 males exiting a vacant lot between houses on the 700 block of Union and approached the vehicle and firing multiple shots.
And investigators tell us those 2 male suspects left the area through that same vacant lot.
This afternoon, suspect has been arrested in that brutal triple homicide.
Annie Rose Ramos is live for us near the scene with the latest on this developing story. Hi, Annie Rose.
Lou, Courtney, hello. Yeah, happening right now. One of the cars involved in this incident is currently being towed away. I'll step aside so you can get a better look. All of this happening right in front of the home where 3 people were found dead inside here in this cul-de-sac in a
Breaking overnight, someone tried to blow up an ATM in the city's Fishtown section. Police and the bomb squad responded to the 1200 block of North Delaware Avenue near the Johnny Hot's fast food stop at 1:30 a.m. Officers discovered a device at the scene and say debris was found as far as 50 feet away from the machine. They are hoping to find footage of the incident on surveillance. The explosion clearly damaged the machine but did not break it open, so the vandals were unable to take any money.
Oh shit, they was not bullshitting, boy.
It began with a car crash and ended in a violent robbery.
The local man says he was the victim of a terrifying crime and the dangerous suspects are still out there. KTLA's Chris Wolf live in Corona with a story you will see only on 5. Chris.
That's right, Micah and Cher. Just when you think you've heard it all, along comes this story. A man is driving along the freeway here in Corona when he gets hit from behind, believing it was just an accident, a fender bender. He gets out of his car, but that encounter led to a beating, a carjacking, a kidnapping,
and a robbery.
I'm here. I am here.
His right eye still bruised from a terrifying experience this week. Corona businessman Donald Pierre explains he's a man of faith and fortitude. Wednesday, December 18th, around 9 a.m., Pierre was driving his Tesla along the 15 freeway at Indian Truck Trail and stopped at a red light. That's when another car rear-ended him. Severely shaken, he called his wife and got out of the Tesla.
After that, I was on the ground being choked.
And I said, oh my gosh, did they T-bone you or what's going on? And before he can even answer, I just heard like a struggle situation.
Wife Sandra mistakenly thought Good Samaritans were helping her husband when the truth is they were beating him, preparing to steal his car, hold him hostage, and more. Donald Pierre says the attackers were 4 black men who spoke with foreign accents.
The more I tried to yell and scream, he would tell me he was going to kill me. He would punch me. 2 other guys were kicking me.
The strangers forced Pierre into the back seat of their silver Ford SUV, seen in this surveillance footage, demanding he lead them to his house in a nearby upscale gated community in Corona. One of the culprits jumped behind the wheel of the Tesla and both vehicles took off. By now, wife Sandra is tracking the Tesla, believing her husband is behind the wheel and may be disoriented from the collision. But he is now home with 3 of his captors who begin to ransack the place and snatch valuables.
Here's the designer bags, here's the jewelry, here's the watches.
The intruders leave, backing out of the garage, and that's when Donald Pierre bolts to a neighbor's house.
It's me, open the door.
Eventually, wife Sandra, now in contact with authorities and neighbors, realizes
subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel.
A very dangerous car
double tap the screen to hit the like button.
She follows the Tesla.
Hit the like button. Turn us up on the likes. Appreciate YouTube.
She says she recorded the driver after he ditched her husband's car and walked away with her husband's Gucci satchel filled with cash.
Damn, he had money in the house. Money in this thing. Okay, she say filled with cash and she recording them.
The Pierres thank God that they're okay. And of course, they say this experience should serve as a warning for everyone. If you get hit, think twice about getting out of your car. If you feel the need, keep moving and immediately call police or 911.
This hour, police are still looking for the suspect. Investigators were called here right before 3 in the morning. This is on the 6200 block of Bell Avenue. They say that a woman had reported that someone had broken into her apartment building, had a knife, and then sexually assaulted her. She then told police, and then that suspect took off with some of her belongings. The woman was taken to the hospital to get checked out, and people living in the area, I should say this is a warning for neighbors to be aware of their surroundings.
Well, yeah, you always got to be careful about who you're around, what's going on around here. Being inside, you always have to make sure that everyone's there and, keep your doors locked.
This afternoon, we're getting a reaction for you from the disturbing body camera footage just released to the public earlier today. This was released by Attorney General Letitia James. The video capturing brutal moments, beatings inflicted upon a handcuffed inmate. This unfolded at the Marcy Correctional Facility near Utica. The inmate was beaten at the hands of several corrections officers earlier this month. He later died. Dan Levy, a reporter, has been gathering reactions to this video today. We do have a warning for you, though. The images that you're about to see here are certainly quite disturbing.
They are images that are difficult to get out of your head, even for those who've spent their entire career in law enforcement.
I'm angered, I'm saddened, and actually I'm horrified. I'm horrified that a group of professional correction officers in 2024 could act like that.
Albany County Sheriff Craig Apple says he has had to discipline members of his jail staff in the past, although nothing to the level of what Robert Brooks experienced at Marcy Correctional Facility.
Which is worse in your mind?
that several people were involved in the beating, or that several others witnessed it and did nothing?
That is the more sad part. It's very disconcerting that you would have a sergeant. I clearly saw stripes in there, and I believe I saw a white shirt.
This is only for educational purposes only.
Or above. You know, you're in violation of not only your oath of office, but where is the humanity? Where, I mean, it's unbelievable that could happen with that. It's a gang. It was a gang.
Our initial reaction from the center was disturbed, and we just find what we saw irreprehensible and unexcusable on the part of the individuals that took part in this unfortunate.
Tayshawn Murdoch is the Director of Operations at Albany's Center for Law and Justice. The unfortunate part of this story, as he sees it, is that what happened to Robert Brooks was not an isolated incident.
I think there's many incidences that we're not hearing about. We know from families who come into our office on a regular basis that they are aware of situations where their loved ones have also been abused and mistreated by
subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet.
Have a deaf ear turned to them by the Department of Corrections.
Governor Kathy Hochul has called for the termination of 14 state employees, including corrections officers and nurses. In the meantime, Attorney General Letitia James, whose office released the body camera videos today, says her investigators are not finished with this case.
I want to reiterate that once again, we begin tonight with the beating death of an inmate in a New York prison at the hands of multiple state corrections officers.
Yeah, we now have a body camera footage showing what happened between 43-year-old Robert Brooks and those officers. This is Governor Kathy Hochul is calling for these state employees to lose their jobs. The encounter happening on December 9th at Marcy Correctional Facility, that's in Oneida County, located about 7 miles outside of Utica. Brooks died at a hospital the day after the assault, according to officials, on the morning of December 10th.
2.5 weeks after.
New now at 5, a brazen theft caught on camera. This happened on Christmas Day at Smokin' This and That Barbecue in Florence. Brittany Harry is live there now with more on this story. Brittany, one of the big questions, right, is how much was actually taken?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, thousands of dollars worth of items were taken from the restaurant here in Florence. So what happened was yesterday, Christmas Day, of course, no one was at the restaurant. And that's when 3 people arrived in a dump truck of all vehicles, and it came behind the restaurant here, that's where I'm standing right now, and stole multiple items. And now the Boone County Sheriff's Office is investigating.
Shame on you. Shame on you. Go get a job. You know, shame on you. Don't steal from somebody else to get ahead. That's sinful.
That's Guy Cummins' message to whoever stole from he and his wife's Boone County restaurant on Christmas night. Cummins says when he went to look for a propane tank this morning and saw there wasn't one, he decided to check his cameras. This dump truck was seen pulling into the parking lot around 8 p.m., headed straight to the back of the restaurant. In the upper left-hand corner of your screen, surveillance cameras show 3 people loading up multiple items and putting them in the back of the truck.
And to have 3 pukes show up here and just steal. I mean, you saw the videos. They were back there for, 15, 20 minutes, and they were just stealing and stealing and stealing and stealing and left, and they just destroyed stuff and it just made you feel sick.
Cummins says some of the items stolen include pop-up tents, a commercial meat slicer, panini press, griddle, food warmers, propane tanks, a new toilet, and a lot of wood. That's nearly $7,000 worth of items gone.
We got to get this stuff replaced. We got some catering gigs coming up. We got to replace this stuff before then. You know what I mean? And of course we will, but it just, this time of year, we're a mom and pop shop.
The Cummins often donate to people in the community, including veterans.
Today, Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez announced the indictment of the man accused of setting a woman on fire on the subway, killing her. Hannah Klieger was in the courtroom and brings us that update.
33-year-old Sebastian Zapata waived his court appearance Friday for the brief hearing formally announcing his indictment. He's facing 1 count of first-degree murder, 3 counts of second-degree murder, and 1 count of first-degree arson.
Murder in the first degree
carries the possibility of life without parole. It's the most serious statute in New York State law.
Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez commenting on the disturbing nature of this crime.
This was a malicious deed, a sleeping, vulnerable woman on our subway system.
Immigration and Customs Enforcement officials say Zepeda entered the U.S. illegally from Guatemala in 2018, was deported, and re-entered the country. According to the criminal complaint, he used a lighter to set the sleeping woman's clothes on fire Sunday morning and then used a shirt to fan the flames. A photo from the scene that day, which we are blurring because it is disturbing, appears to show him sitting on a platform watching her burn as an unsuspecting officer walks by. That officer's body camera captured a clear image of him, which investigators say helped lead to his arrest a few hours later.
One thing, we're grateful that the transit system has cameras. I'm also grateful to some of the witnesses who quickly informed the police of the identity of the alleged perpetrator of the crime.
This comes as a spokesperson for Mayor Eric Adams said he's also hoping to explore criminal charges against Zepeda under the federal arson statute.
We believe very strongly that this case belongs in state court because the charges here are more significant in state court than currently in federal court.
The identity of his victim is still unknown, but officials believe she may have been homeless.
Her body was badly burned, and so advanced fingerprinting efforts are being made, as well as advanced DNA evidence to identify her.
Zepeda is due back in court on January 7th, where his indictment will be formally unsealed at arraignment. In downtown Brooklyn, Hannah Klieger, CBS News, New York.
Why do baseball players throw it up?
Suppose Madonna, who been knocking. Now, I'm about to ask.
Why did Jim Carrey throw it up on TV? Why did Jim Carrey do it all mocking eye, all seeing eye mocking it? Why did he throw it up?
Okay, so listen right here.
Just like there's gang, hold on, let me land real quick. Just like there's gang signs in the streets, there are secret societies with gang signs as well, or things that are secret handshakes and all that kind of stuff. That's not far-fetched to believe.
So you see the video too? Okay.
I mean, I've been woke.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I just said there's video of saying exactly.
New at 5, a drug overdose that took the life of a 36-year-old woman has now resulted in the arrest of the person accused of selling her the very drugs that killed her. Fairfield Township police say the victim, who died of that drug overdose, bought the drugs from a relative.
Ken Brown is in Fairfield Township now with more on this rare case.
The drug in this case is fentanyl, and now the charge that the alleged dealer is facing is involuntary manslaughter.
I've only had one other one. One other one, yeah. They're very difficult to prove. Some prosecuting, we're very fortunate. We have a very good working relationship with our prosecutor's office, and credit to them. They worked with us on this case.
Fairfield Township Sergeant Brandon McCroskey has had a long career in law enforcement, and as you heard, this man, Aubith Biner, is just the second alleged drug dealer the sergeant has been able to charge in an overdose death case.
They're very difficult to prove who sold the drugs to these individuals, so that's why they're so rare. It's not that we don't want to prosecute them, it's just they are uniquely very difficult to prove where these individuals got their drugs from.
Sergeant McCroskey tells us the stars aligned in this case. They allege that Biner sold Sherry Geis cocaine and fentanyl at a gas station near her home, and police also say Biner is Geis's brother-in-law.
It's huge. It sends the message to these drug dealers that it's the only way you're going to slow it down is to hold these people accountable when they sell these drugs to someone and someone dies as a result, is to hold them accountable for that.
Biner has a history of drug-related charges in Tennessee that dates back to the year 2000. He's also been convicted of assault, aggravated assault, criminal trespassing, public indecency. In 2004, he was charged with attempted criminal homicide and pled down to a lesser charge. He spent years in prison, and when he was released, he moved from Tennessee to the tri-state. He's currently in jail in Kenton County, Kentucky, on separate drug charges.
All right, new this morning, one of the biggest drug dealers in America, once based right here in Memphis, well, a movie
based on the hunt to capture him will be coming to life. A release shows Golden Globe nominee Dennis Haysbert is the first star to join the cast of the movie American Smuggler. You may remember Haysbert as the Allstate spokesperson with the deep voice. And you also may remember him, I know a lot of people do, as Whitney Houston's love interest in Waiting to Exhale. Yeah, you remember that. The film will show the true story of SEAL Team 6's efforts to find Craig Pettis and the capture of Mexican drug lord El Chapo. One of the producers is Memphis native Janelle Stokes. Now get this, less than a year ago, I actually sat down with members of that DEA task force who arrested Pettis as they spoke about the investigation and capture of one of the most dangerous men in Memphis and his connections to the Mexican cartel. Craig Pettis is serving 9.
It's been about 24 hours now since we learned a significant figure in modern DC history died.
Yeah, but he wasn't a politician and he wasn't a sports star. Rayful Edmond was a notorious drug kingpin.
He thrived during the crack cocaine epidemic of the 1980s, which spiked the city's murder rate so high, DC became known as the murder capital of the nation. Edmond spent 35 years in prison. He was released 4 months ago to a halfway house in Miami. At the time of his release, News 4's Paul Wagner brought us this report on Edmond's impact on DC.
The release from prison came as a bit of a surprise. Edmond is now out in part because in the 90s, he cooperated with the government after the FBI learned he was making large drug deals with the Columbia cartel from his federal prison cell in Pennsylvania. In 1994, he flipped and became a snitch. Court records show for the next 20 years, Edmond provided information to the feds that led to the convictions of at least 100 people. Here in D.C. during the late 80s, he ran his cocaine operation from a house in Northeast where a young police recruit successfully infiltrated the gang. In 2019, News 4's Jackie Benson spoke with the undercover officer, now retired.
I was in there for like 3 days and got asked, did I want to do undercover work?
The undercover was known to the gang as Jimmy, who remembers cocaine shipments being delivered by the truckload.
And a guy sitting on the back with a Uzi, with 2 Uzis.
At one point, Edmond became close with some of Georgetown University's top basketball players, and Coach John Thompson met with Edmond and asked him to leave his players alone. The crack epidemic had the district in a vice grip for years, with countless murders linked to it. In the district, Paul Wagner, News 4.
Now, the News 4 I-Team's Tracy Wilkins joins us in studio here now. Tracy, you grew up here in Washington, D.C. So for people who are more recent transplants to this area, or even younger people, can you sort of break down the impact that Rayful Edmond had on our area even more?
Well, so according to prosecutors, he was operating some 60% of the crack cocaine that was moving throughout the District of Columbia. That is a large amount of drugs coming into this small city, right? And he had, at the time of his arrest, one of the most profitable drug operations in the nation, right? So what that looked like here was, I was raised in Prince George's County. My maternal grandmother lived in Northeast DC, 42nd and Benning Road, just a couple of blocks up from Minnesota Avenue and near the shrimp boat. And I remember growing up and feeling just a
Special delivery. A Memphis man is heading to jail after police say he robbed mail carriers at gunpoint. Investigators say that they have tied 2 of 3 reported robberies to Marshawn Lewis. Fox 13's Dominic Dillon joins us live from the Landing apartment complex in Hickory Hill, where 2 postal workers have been robbed this month. Dominic, the public actually helped to crack this case.
Yeah, Darcy, maybe because of a $150,000 reward offered. You know, Darcy, that can get a lot of people talking, and Memphis police say it did. They say someone came to them anonymously and they recognized Lewis's car. They gave that information over to police, and that's what led to his arrest. Police say Lewis targeted 2 postal carriers at apartment complexes in Hickory Hill. Police claim the 24-year-old walked up to a mail carrier at the Cedar Mills Apartments last month, cocked his gun and shouted, "Give me the key." The mail carrier handed over the key to the mail truck, but police said that's not what Lewis had in mind. They say he was after the mail carrier's arrow key. That key can open mailboxes and parcel lockers. They say Lewis got that key when he robbed a mail carrier here at the Landings December 2nd.
Awesome that they actually caught the perpetrator here. There's a lot of crime that goes around here in Memphis that doesn't get properly handled.
Now, investigators reported another robbery targeting mail carriers here at this apartment complex last Tuesday. We reached out to Memphis police to learn whether they're still searching for the thief, and they got back to me. They said,
Fox 13 News at 5 starts now. First at 5, 3 teenagers are recovering after being shot in the middle of the day in Memphis. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Daniel Wilkerson. Darcy and Daryl have...
Now, Sheila Gonzalez tells me that she ordered a few items for her Christmas dinner list at this Food Lion yesterday. Now, she said she got a notification about a delay, cancellation, and then reassignment of the shopping list. Now, at first, she thought that her shopper was possibly a witness to the shooting. Little did she know her shopper turned out to be the shooter.
A grocery store run turned deadly on Lawndale Drive. Sheila Gonzalez says she ordered a few items through Instacart around 9:30 Monday morning. She got a notification that she was assigned to Terrell McMillan. Things were normal until an abrupt stop in the order.
He started doing the shopping, and almost when he was finished with the shopping, according to the app, it just said it took a very long time. It took about maybe 30 minutes. I was not hearing anything. I was not getting any alerts. And all of a sudden it said, your order's been canceled, it's been reassigned to a different shopper.
Shortly after, Gonzalez says she got a notification on her phone about a shooting at the same Food Lion. At that point, she was concerned about safety.
It was very alarming. It was scary. I had texted the message to my husband. I'm like, I think the Instacart shopper was at the Food Lion, and we heard about the shooting with the officer later on. And this morning, I received another alert of the person who had been arrested.
This morning, police identified Terrell McMillan as the shooter. Gonzalez says she put 2 and 2 together and is still trying to process what happened to the man who was supposed to deliver groceries to her home.
It scared me foremost, because in the news you hear about that it was the officer didn't even have a chance to draw his weapon.
Gonzalez says her prayers are with Officer Michael Horan's family and the Greensboro Police Department.
Now, Gonzalez tells me that she now questions the security behind these food delivery apps, and she says she will never use it ever again. We've also reached out to Instacart to see if we can get a statement. We're still waiting to hear back. Live in Greensboro, Giselle Thomas, WFMY News 2.